What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to talk about Romance Storm. I'm seeing an awful lot of people getting a little bit worried about Romance Storm, about the fact that it is sold out everywhere and singles prices are spiking like I showed you the other day, and people getting a little bit concerned that it is going to be too hard to get hold of cards, etc, etc. And what I want to do in this video is firstly explain to you, well, basically, what I want to do is try and put your mind at ease and explain to you why, yes, Bandai are going to be reprinting this, and they're going to keep going, and they're going to keep going, and they're going to keep going. So, I showed you the other day that Romance Dawn is, as it stands at the moment, largely sold out. I'm not saying it's literally sold out everywhere. I'm sure there's some places that have got it in stock, but most game stores have sold out of their allocation as it stands at the moment. And I showed you on eBay there a couple of days ago, the going price for a box on eBay is about $160. Now, if anybody's wondering about the RRP of a box, there is no such thing as the RRP of a box. That doesn't exist. But the packs are $4.19 each. There are 24 packs in a box, so the RRP is $100.56. That is the actual RRP of a Romance Dawn booster box. You can make all the arguments you want about what shops generally sell for, blah, blah, blah. But it's really simple. The RRP, the MSRP, is $100.56, because that is the booster pack price of $4.19 times by the 24 packs in a box. Nice and simple. Yes, I know a lot of stores, when stock is good, will give you a discount when buying a whole box. I understand that. It's not the point. There is a retail, and it's not specifically for the box, it is for the packs. So you take the $4.19 per pack, times it by 24, that is your retail for a booster box. Good? Good. So, yeah, we're about $60 more than they should be at the moment. And that is having a knock-on effect for some of the most sought-after singles. Now, some of them are coming down in price, as I showed you the other day, but unfortunately, some of them aren't. I showed you the Roanoa Zorro alternate art is going up in price, as is the Roanoa Zorro leader. I showed you that the Bo Hancock is going up in price, and there are some others as well. Yeah, there's a lot of cards are starting to go up in price. It's sad. It's a thing. It happens. I wouldn't worry too much about it, but unfortunately, it is a thing that is happening. When stock gets better, it's going to be fine, because we are going to see that prices will start coming down again and all will be right in the world. Now, one of the things I'm seeing here is people saying, Bandai have underdelivered and blah, blah, blah. And look, I'm not a shill for Bandai, all right? I'm not employed by Bandai. I don't have any insider information, but I did teach business for 13 years. And I can tell you this, Bandai are a profit-making company. That's not a bad thing. They sell products. Companies that sell products are profit-making companies. That's a thing. They want your money. That's the whole point. They've made the Piece TCG because they want your money. So they want to sell you cards. It makes no sense for Bandai to underproduce. And if Bandai don't send out cards they have produced, not only are they not making money, but they're also paying to store them, because storing crates and crates and crates of cards, that takes a warehouse, that costs money. So no, they haven't made cards they're not selling. That makes no sense. And no, they're not deliberately underproducing. That makes no sense. I know it's fun to get a bit of a conspiracy theory going, but the reality is this. The One Piece card game is more popular than could be reasonably predicted. Bandai are trying as hard as they can to print these cards as fast as they can, because they know for a fact right now that they will sell the cards they print. They will make money, and that is what they want to do. That's the goal. Now, generally speaking, when you are producing a product of any description, one of two things is going to happen. Either you underproduce, and then people who want to buy it can't, or you overproduce, and you end up having leftover stock, which you usually end up just selling at a bit of a reduction, losing a bit of money on. You cannot know the perfect amount unless you make to order, which incidentally is where Premium Bandai comes in. We see things like the Anniversary binder being sold on Premium Bandai. That is literally Bandai taking orders in advance. So they know how many they're actually going to sell, and that is a way of knowing that you will actually sell the exact right amount. Generally speaking, that's not really viable for most products, so you end up in a situation where you either underproduce and you lose sales, or you overproduce and you lose money. That's just the way business works. It has to happen. But this is the first set of a trading card game. So there is no decision to be made here. You overproduce. That is always the decision. And the reason is extremely simple. When you're selling a trading card game, you are not trying to make Jimmy buy, hi Jimmy, a box of Romance Dawn. Your goal is not to sell Jimmy a box of Romance Dawn. Your box is to sell Jimmy a few boxes of Romance Dawn. And then a few boxes of Summit Battle. And then a few boxes of Mighty Enemy. And so on and so forth. You don't really care about little Jimmy, hey Jimmy, buying a box of Romance Dawn. Sure, you'll make a bit of money. That's not the point. You're not trying to sell one booster box to each person. You are trying to get them hooked on your game. And when you get them hooked on your game, you will sell them multiple boxes of every set that comes out. That is a goal of a trading card game. That's how trading card games make money. It's nerds like me and Jimmy. Hi, Jimmy. The whole point is you are trying to get people who play your game, who enter tournaments, who build collections, and who buy all of your products. Because I bought a box of Romance Dawn. I also bought 2 copies of each of the 4 starter decks because you can play 4 of each card, but the starter decks have some cards that only come as 2 ofs, so if I want a play set of every card, and I do, then I have to buy 2 of each of the starter decks. So I bought 2 of each starter deck, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And soon, early next year, starter deck 5 is going to come out, and I'm going to buy 2 copies of it. And then starter deck 6 is going to come out. I'm going to buy 2 copies of it. Then starter deck 7 is going to come out. I'm going to buy 2 copies of it. And we recently saw that starter decks 8 and 9 were revealed, featuring Luffy and Yamato. Does anybody want to hazard a guess how many copies of starter decks 8 and 9 I am going to buy? And I'm going to buy a couple boxes of Summit Battle. And I'm going to buy a couple boxes of Mighty Enemy. You see where I'm going with this, I'm assuming, at this stage. They want to hook you. Do you know how they literally cannot hook you? If you cannot buy the product. And it really is as simple as that. If Bandai underproduce set 1, they're not just missing out on sales of set 1, although they are. They're also missing out on sales of set 2, and set 3, and set 4, and all the starter decks. And this is why I can say with absolute certainty every trading card game that launches will not risk underproducing and losing sales. They will overproduce and know that some of the stuff has to be sold at a discount later on. Because if you underproduce set 1, you lose not just sales, but you lose long-term players. Underproducing set 1 leads to lost sales of every set moving forward, and you cannot do that for a trading card game. Now, if we look at Digimon, for instance, the most recent set that has been released in English is BT11. But we've actually had a couple of EX sets released. So we've had 13 sets of Digimon in English. Technically, we've had 12, but let's not get into that. We've had a lot of sets of Digimon. So when it comes to BT11, Bandai have got many sets worth of data. And they can start to predict pretty accurately at that stage how much they need to produce. There's a fun little thing in Digimon. If I want to buy a box of BT5, I can buy a box of BT5 pretty cheap. Because BT5 was overproduced. Because it was in the early days of the Digimon TCG. But if I want to buy a box of BT10, it's much harder to find a box of BT10 nice and cheaply, because by the time BT10 came around, unfortunately, Bandai had a lot more information, and they were producing far more accurately the amount they needed. And we see this with trading card games all the time. You can still buy boxes of the first Transformers set very cheaply, and that game's been defunct for a long time now. And the reason why you can do that is because Wizards of the Coast massively overproduced the first set. Why did Wizards of the Coast massively overproduce the first set? Because they had to. Because that's how you hook people. And that game didn't work, that game failed. That's not the point. The point is, they overproduced set 1, knowing that they had to overproduce set 1, because if they didn't, they were never going to hook long-time players. And that is why you'll see me occasionally posting in the group, on the Facebook, etc., when people are talking about this. And it's why I can always tell you with such certainty, don't worry about set 1, they're gonna keep producing set 1. And the reason is extremely simple. They have to. Because if they don't, they're going to lose out on sales. And I'm not talking about sales of Romance Dawn. I am talking about sales of every expansion from Romance Dawn through to the end of the game. I told you earlier that cards like Roanoa Zorro, the leader, and Roanoa Zorro, the character, are spiking in price. And part of the reason is because they're really playable. And in set 2, in the set 2 meta, the meta that Japan is in at the moment, Red Rush is the best deck. So people still want that alternate art Roanoa Zorro, and they still want the character. And remember, the character is a super rare, so even the regular version is starting to jump up in price because it's so gosh darn good. And the thing is, if nobody can get hold of set 1, nobody can get the cards they need to play in set 2. So if set 2 is readily available, but set 1 isn't, and players cannot get the cards they need from set 1 to play, they're not going to play the game, they're going to give up, they're going to go away, and a lot of money is gone. I understand your frustration about Romance Dawn at the moment, I promise you I do. And I tell you a secret, I bought 1 box of Romance Dawn, and I would really like to buy another box, and I am currently waiting to buy my second box, waiting for when the prices come down, which they will, when the reprints happen, which I am absolutely certain will happen. And I've explained to you in great detail why I'm so certain it's going to happen. The fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, the game is too popular and Bandai literally cannot print it fast enough right now. But as I've explained to you in a fair bit of detail in this video, if you are launching a trading card game, you cannot underproduce set 1. Because if you underproduce set 1, it basically kills your game. Set 1, and also sets 2 and 3, incidentally, the early sets are all overproduced. You see this in every card game. I mean, Final Fantasy, you can still pick up some of the early sets crazy cheap because they were massively overproduced to hook new players. Because that's the only way you hook players, and you need the players to run your game for the long term. You cannot have a shortage of the early sets, because then you'll have a shortage of players, and your game goes bye-bye. I hope I've made my point, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I've explained it well enough. Now it's over to you guys. Tell me how excited you are for the One Piece card game. Tell me how many boxes you're going to be buying when stock gets better. Tell me all your theories in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wasi. That's where we talk One Piece and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.